Hello and welcome to this look at my collection of Furuta Star Trek Starships. Now, Furuta, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, are a Japanese company which was founded in 1952 and based in Osaka. And they are actually a confectionery or candy company, not a toy or model makers as such. And they produced candy models. Now, candy models, for those of us who don't know, are things like this. This is a Pikachu Loves Ketchup candy model I picked up when I was in Japan a couple of years ago. So they're blind boxed. You'd get a random model, and inside would often be a piece of candy or chewing gum. And so Furuta made these kind of candy models based around Star Trek, the vast majority of which were Starships. They made them between 2003 and 2006. There were some other items. There was like a bust of Mr. Spock's head and things like that. So they were, at the time, pretty well detailed compared to, say, Micro Machines. The bigger than Micro Machines arguably have more detail. So, as a comparison, that's a Micro Machines Enterprise D. Not bad at all. Try and get it to focus. That's Micro Machines Enterprise D. So as a size comparison, we will show you the future Enterprise D from All Good Things, with all its extra nacelle and gizmos and weapon systems. I'm just going to put my finger in there so it's got something to focus on. So if we compare the size, that's your Furuta and that's your Micro Machines. If we compare it to Eaglemoss, it's about half the size of the Eaglemoss Enterprise D. So this one's about 9 centimeters long. So, I mean, it goes without saying the Eaglemoss models are superior models, but there are a few things actually I prefer about the Furuta models, and also they are much cheaper. Especially if you lived in Japan, they'd be much cheaper to acquire than the Eaglemoss models. Well, I mean, one of the things they get right is the stands. So the stands, unlike the Eaglemoss ones, have the actual the name of the ship and the registry on the upper side of the stand, unlike the Eaglemoss ones, which have them underneath, so you can't actually see what the name of the model when it's actually being displayed. The plug-in system, it doesn't always work because sometimes the plastic warps, and I think some of them are actually unique fittings, but you can, with a bit of struggle, use any you can use any stand with any model, unlike the Eaglemoss ones. So I've got the Enterprise B, the Excelsior Enterprise. This is quite nicely done as well. And then moving on to the Enterprise C. I've always been a big fan of the design of the Enterprise C. It was hurriedly put together behind the scenes for yesterday's Enterprise, and it's different from the original concept, which looked a lot more like the Enterprise D. But I actually quite like I like the rounded edges of it. I like the nacelles, and I like the big deflector dish. So I've always been a fan of the Enterprise C. And then I'm not doing it in any sort of Star Trek timeline chronological order, so I want the Reliant. So they're entirely made out of plastic. They're not. There's no die-cast parts. You know, there's not as much detail. They're not as accurate as the Eaglemoss ones, but there's a certain charm to them. They're a lot easier to store, for one thing. All my Furuta models are just kept in one small plastic box. Unlike Eaglemoss, where you either got to, here we are on the Farragut, you've either got to keep them in their original packaging, which makes them very bulky to store, or, as I've done, transfer them into some kind of box. But all my, because these are sort of light plastic, they can be very easily stored. Another of my favourite class of ships. Again, I don't think the font of the registry is particularly accurate, but again, I think there's a certain charm to these Furuta models, to be honest. Rescuing the crew of the Enterprise D. Right, now here's where things get a little bit more interesting, perhaps. These dark ships. So, and that's warped, no pun intended. So these are made out of a much softer plastic than the others. The other ones are kind of a brittle rigid plastic. These are kind of a softer plastic, and I think they glow in the dark. I mean, obviously the emphasis is on the windows. You can see the windows. I mean, obviously it's always night in space, so I don't know what's happened here, where the Enterprise has switched off all its external lights or something, and the idea is you can just see the windows. I've tried to see if it glows in the dark. It looks like it's supposed to glow in the dark. I've tried it earlier. It didn't seem to glow in the dark. It could be more. Maybe you have to put black light on it to make them glow. But it's very interesting nonetheless, and it's just irritating me that bent nacelle. Now we've got the Enterprise E. Now here's where we do start to get a feature that is superior to the Eaglemoss ships. And it's not something I've ever seen, and I don't actually think we see it on screen. I could be wrong, but here we go. Oh, here we go. Oh, I must have pressed it on a bit hard. The saucer separates. I haven't broken it. It is designed to do that. The saucer actually separates. So that's a really nice feature. With these Furuta models, there are kind of action features. But yeah, I really like that. Again, it's got this dark look to it. But this, moving on to possibly my favourite of the Furuta models, is the Phoenix. The first warp-capable ship. They've really improved on the stand. The stand looks great. It looks like 3D chess. I mean, I'm assuming that's what it's supposed to look like. It looks like 3D chess. The detail on the Phoenix is really nice, and unlike the Eaglemoss ones, the warp nacelles deploy. It's got a little bit loose over time, but the warp nacelles do actually deploy, which I think is really important for the model, because as far as I'm aware, the Eaglemoss ones are fixed and rigid. So I really like the fact that the nacelles deploy. Before drunk Zephram Cochrane, with his hangover, can go into space and meet the Vulcans. Right, so I'm just trying to think. There we are. I mean, yeah, the Furuta models are really nice. I used to collect them on eBay. I mean, if you compare them to some of the junk we get now, this is a Mattel, I think Johnny Lightning, Enterprise from the Abrams verse. I mean, look, there's just no detail on it at all. I mean, it's perhaps not a fair comparison. This is just sort of a mass market, but there's no colouring on the Bussard Ram scoops. But there we have it. So put 3 versions of the Enterprise D on to finish. Where's the other one gone? Where's my Micro Machines gone? Where are we? There it is. Oh dear. Smash. Crap. Right, so there's three Enterprise Ds there. But yeah, I really like the Furuta models. I wish they'd come up with more, but I guess Eaglemoss has cornered the market now, or maybe has the license. Interesting series of Starships, so I enjoyed collecting them. Right, thanks very much for watching. Live long and prosper. Like and subscribe. Make it so.